I help people use the power of their breath as a tool for inner exploration and healing, ultimately. And one of the things I've been contemplating, and this is why I'm grateful for this.
Wes Greenwood, glad to talk to you. The
Fantastic.
Chief Breath Officer of Jasper.
Yeah.
I want to get right into it, learn about the great work that the company's doing.
Okay.
I just met you guys
Yeah.
down in Austin at the Health Optimization Summit. You had this amazing booth with this beautiful, tasteful looking chamber that turns out to be the most powerful home-based air filter you can get.
Yeah.
So I was visiting you guys. I was around the corner at Beluva booth and got to know Mike and Sarah, and you guys looked like you had a tremendous interest in the product at the show to those biohacking crowds. So now we bring it to all you listeners, viewers, to learn more about Jasper and then all the other cool stuff you're doing with your breath work and your background that got you into this stuff. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's good to be here, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to talk.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah. I want to ask you where to begin. I mean, like, as far as like, what you want to know about clean air. I really want to answer your questions, and I also want to speak to your audience directly.
Good.
So I mean,
way
like,
to come back at it, man.
Yeah.
So, I have like 5 of these air filters in my house from Amazon.
Okay.
Because I want clean air, you know, and I'm trying to cover all aspects of my health.
Great.
So I think I'm doing a solid.
You're doing something.
Mike said they're not the most powerful thing, but we have the awareness that indoor air might not always be the most tidy. I like to get window circulation in the right times of year, but like now we're here in the spring allergy season and it's brutal. So I have all the windows locked down. I'm like, what's best? Should I open the window? No, I can't, man. I keep sneezing. So we have like indoor air quality. Outdoor air quality is now a big deal because we're here in Los Angeles in the aftermath of the Palisades fire, which is only a few miles away.
Absolutely.
And, lots to talk about and learn about.
This is great. First, like, I just want to highlight the fact that you're actually filtering your air.
Yeah.
And that's putting you like leaps and bounds above most.
Yes, besides the HVAC with the,
the
thing
little
you
remove.
try to remember to replace.
That's it. And if you look at most people, and I would challenge most people, go look at what your furnace filter looks like. When was the last time you changed it?
Yeah.
And it's not really doing anything.
Oh, really?
Like, not for your indoor air quality. It's protecting your furnace from getting too much buildup in the fan.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a HEPA filter. It's not catching the small particulate, it's catching gross dust and all that stuff. And people's ductwork would be the revealer of that. If anyone hasn't had their ducts clean, if you have a central heating system, look into getting your ductwork cleaned. And
get
if
your
you
ducts
can,
in a row.
Seriously, get them in a row. But
and you do that like every year or some.
Well, so it depends. Now, this is the cool thing about filtering your air. If we had proper filtration in the house, the ductwork wouldn't need to be cleaned very often, if at all.
Right. Yeah.
Most people don't, and that furnace filter reveals it. If you look how dirty the ductwork is in most people's houses, it's so gross. And if they haven't had it cleaned, and most people don't clean it ever, they don't think of it as a routine task. It tells the story of what's in there. But the reason I say, like, it's awesome that you're filtering air. We've been to so many summits, so many conferences, so many trade shows. And the most common answer we get when we ask people about, like, what are you doing about your indoor air quality? Nothing.
Yeah.
And this is from people like,
that are
you would think would be, that's what I mean.
With,
you think would be in the know. And it's been something that, like, I just started, I've known Mike for 8 years. I've known him since he started the company. And I just started with Jasper personally, like back in the winter of 2024. And just getting exposed to people at these trade shows and like customers that we're serving in the local Austin area, because we're centered out of Austin. How many people, particularly at these conferences, that should be in the know that aren't doing anything about their indoor air quality is mind-boggling. This is a foundational thing of health. The air we breathe.
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah.
Not think.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Food, water, air.
How many variables are there?
Right?
Yeah.
Movement.
Yeah.
Sleep, connection, relationships, community.
Sunlight.
Like these things, right? I mean, it's at the foundation though, but like breathing. Like that's like, it doesn't get more foundational.
Yeah.
And we're breathing dirty indoor air. We're spending more time indoors than ever. 95+% of people's time, unless you're conscious about it.
Yeah.
And if you live in a climate that's like favorable, because people love being comfortable, if it's too cold, they don't want to go out. If it's too hot, they don't want to go out.
Yeah.
A lot of time spent indoors.
Yeah.
Not many people are filtering their indoor air.
There's a study from UK. It was like 87% indoors and 7% in a vehicle.
Exactly.
Thus 94% of your life is indoors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and then the 6% outdoors, then we still have some potential
That's
concerns.
depending where you live.
Yeah.
You know, so what would be ideal is if we all lived amongst nature. You know, nature's a great air purifier. The sun is very good at like neutralizing bacteria, viruses, you know, and trees, they're very good at like filtering in carbon dioxide and breathing out clean oxygen, and you know, they capture dust particulate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, we're not, if you're in a forest, the forest is not burning, you know, carbon products as a combustion byproduct of like cars and rubber flecks coming off and industrial pollution and all this stuff, right? That's what we live amongst.
Yeah.
And we're not filtering all that stuff out.
Yeah. I mean,
it's crazy.
I had one of those sophisticated blood tests from Nourish Balance Thrive years ago, and I came back fairly healthy. But some of the reports that, you know, no one would ever get this kind of test until you go way to the highest level of sophistication. And it said you had plastic particulates in your blood and also petroleum byproducts. And so then I went off to, you know, functional medicine and been like, what the hell's going on?
What could be the cause of this?
One of the main conjecture was that growing up in the Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley, when the smog was horrific, my whole upbringing, and I was a long distance runner.
Yeah.
And we'd do these cross country races, 3 miles. And then when you finished, you would cough for a couple hours.
Wow.
And I thought that was from hard running.
Yeah.
As part of the sport.
Yeah.
My lungs would just be coughing. And, you know, at the pizza place that night, and then I'd finally finish coughing after a couple hours. And the pain would go away.
Yeah.
And then I did my first cross country race in college for UC Santa Barbara team.
Yes.
Right on the ocean up there in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And I crossed the finish line.
No pain.
And I'm like, hey, why am I not coughing? And I'm like, oh my God, it was all the smog in the valley.
Oh my goodness.
So that was a heartbreaking realization to think how much poison was going in my little body.
Such a powerful story.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful story. That was, you know, I love that you shared that. So thank you, because that actually is something that came up on a podcast this morning. You know, part of what I do, like I facilitate breathwork experiences for people. So I help people use the power of their breath as a tool for inner exploration and healing, ultimately. And one of the things I've been contemplating, and this is why I'm grateful for this product of Jasper, you know, depending on the time of year, I love doing experiences outdoors. But, you know, if the season dictates, you know, if it's like, you know, 105 degrees outside and sunny, a lot of people, you know, don't want to lay outside because it's intolerable for some. We'll go indoors. And it's known that the indoor air can tend to be worse than the outside air. And particularly depending on the house you live in and how well your ventilation system works, you know, it can actually tend to concentrate. Like, so say you live somewhere like, you know, LA, and there's a lot of smog, a lot of smoke, very high levels of pollutants in the air. They can concentrate in your home.
Yeah.
To be at higher levels than they are outside.
Yeah.
Like
Makes sense. There's less circulation.
That's what I mean.
You don't get lucky with a breeze one morning if there is.
And particularly in older houses, right? They didn't have very good ventilation systems, as in like exhausting air from inside to the out.
Yeah.
And usually you'd have to turn them on manually, like your range hood or your bathroom fan. Most people forget after 40, 50 years. They break. People don't fix them. You know, your furnace systems, they just move the air inside. And they're not really replacing, you know? So if someone doesn't like open the windows to get that going, it tends to accumulate. One of the things I've been fascinated by, and you just highlighted this, is the potential of someone engaging in deep breath work as a practice. For instance, running, you're breathing deeply too, and driving that particulate matter into the deeper lobes of the lungs, you know? And that you just highlighted that. It's still what's happening.
Yeah.
How many people do you think run in LA that potentially have that problem, that have no awareness of that being a thing?
Yeah.
They're engaging in a healthy exercise.
Yeah.
And they're eating well.
Drastically worsening the damage.
That's what I mean.
Because they're asking so much of their lungs.
Exactly. And, you know, you develop a certain amount of willpower so you can push through pain. You get that runner's high so you don't really feel it in the moment. You know, you engage in this exercise that's supposed to be good for you for a long time. Like, this is just something I think about, like, you know, making the invisible visible. That's why I love this particulate counter. It does show some evidence of like that there's particulate in the air. There's better laboratory testing you can do to see what it is actually. So what is the real concentration of like certain contaminants, not just how much is in the air, but what is it? So
what do you do? Like just take a jar full of air and then bring it in.
That's exactly it. Basically,
don't spill it.
A grab sample. Well, it traps it in a container, right? Like an airtight thing. So like, you know, this will show the quantity of particulate. Those tests will show the quality. What it is. But all I'm getting at is there's always this saying in like health conscious circles of like, you know, the person that did everything right and somehow died of lung cancer. It's like, you know, and these people get demoralized. Like, what's the point? It's like, this is what's happening. people are getting exposed to things that they can't see. Yeah. You can't feel necessarily in the moment, or at the very least, you come up with some other justification like, oh, I must have just ran too hard. Mm-hmm. No, you just breathed in a bunch of garbage. Mm.
Now, if it is a polluted day outside, can it be better inside? I'm going to go exercise in the gym today because the air is so bad outside. Or are they generally, is it generally like anything outside is getting into most inside that is, besides the temperature, which we always think, oh, the air must be cooler and cleaner because I feel the air conditioning.
That's it. So it can be. Is it usually? Not necessarily. So again, because of like just the way we are
here in this proper hotel, it's got to be way nicer.
It's definitely better.
Jaspr filters everywhere.
We're working at. They're not in everywhere yet, but we're working on it. So this is something that we're trying to bring awareness to, right? Particularly in health facilities, and I think it's very important, particularly where people are going to exercise and they're engaging in a deeper level of respiration than they might otherwise. That's why I love what you shared. Yeah, that is such a critical story to think about. Like, and the truth of the matter is, most gyms are not filtering their air. Most yoga studios are not filtering their air. You know, I certainly know a lot of places I went to do breathing experiences. They're not filtering their air, you know? So this is not a common thing. This is a piece that's being missed on many levels, you know? So, I mean, yes, the potential is there. We just need filtration indoors. I mean, ideally, the contamination that's happening, the pollution, we take steps to like, you know, move away from that. Yeah. You know, if I take this meter, this particulate counter out to like an old growth forest, you know, and it's a little bit dry, say it's midsummer and a wind, like a gust of wind comes up, it's going to kick up all kinds of dust, all kinds of particulate, you know, but it's not necessarily of the type that's really harmful for you. Some might even say it's beneficial. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming out about like, you know, the microbiome of the soil and you're breathing that in, you know, but when that happens, like you said, the Palisades fire, that dust comes in. Well, it's kicking up all kinds of combustion byproducts, you know, like all the things that burned, you know, like all the things that were there before from like just the cars driving, you know, the pollution happening in the factories, the power plants, all that stuff, right? And it's blowing around.
So right now, we are 3.5 months removed from the fires. Yeah. They're cleaning it up like crazy. Yeah. And we're 5 miles away, let's say, 3 miles away, really. Yeah. Are we still dealing with that massive toxic air problem from months ago due to the cleanup and the stirring up of the burnt up car?
And almost even at this distance? Yes. Depending on the way the wind's blowing. Yeah. It's literally as simple as that. Yeah. Yes. You know, every time it rains, every day the sun's out shining, it's going to degrade some of the stuff more. Like nature's a very good at diluting things. Yeah. You know, but some things take a very long time to dilute, right? Yeah. So yes. And especially in these areas where like, you know, essentially a disaster has happened. It's very important, even like critical, to begin to look at how can you protect yourself. And that's not really being talked about more. People think, oh, it's no longer a fire. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't end when the fire's over.
Or it's like, hey, when are we rebuilding? Let's get this done quick. And then
that's it. Well, it's not just rebuilding. It's like there's a demolition that happens. Yeah. So every time they demolish a house, like they're not doing it in a bag. Yeah. They're not, you know, like watch a house get demolished. Yeah. Look how much dust comes out of that thing. And then it burned down.
Or the casino building in Vegas that they
when they implode it. Yeah. That's it, right? And people love watching it. They think it's cool. But it's like, man, you know what's in that stuff? Yeah. It's not good. Yeah. So, yes, there's still a risk here. It's hard to say exactly what. You know, there's a lot of combustion byproducts that still are going to be liberated from the fact of the cleanup happening, you know, and like wind blowing it. It's not like as much of an issue as when the fire was ongoing and all that fire and smoke's like, you know, constantly coming. Yeah. We talked with a woman here today about like how she noticed every day when the fire was going, she would come home and her whole countertop would have a layer of black soot on it, you know? So that's like indoors, right?
How did it get onto the counter?
Exactly, right?
Well, through the
houses, when you open your door, you know, like stuff comes in. There's always like houses, even though now they're much more airtight than they used to be, and that's part of the problem with like, you know, indoor air pollution. Right. We'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah. Even though they're tighter than they used to be, they still leak. They still have like outdoor air coming in, right? And particularly when there's a high concentration of stuff in the air from a fire, it makes it in and settles it. And if you don't have an air filter, well, now your counter collects it, your couch collects it, your carpet collects it, your clothing collects it, your bedding,
wall,
that becomes your filter. That's it. Anything porous, now becomes your filter.
It becomes your filter.
That's it. Yeah. So if you don't have something like, you know, whether it's a Jasper or whether it's a central mounted air purifier or some other thing, like you mentioned, you bought a bunch from Amazon. If you don't have something running in your house, your contents of your home become the filter. So every time you sit on your couch, a little bit goes in the air.
Yeah.
You know, every time you walk on your carpet, a little bit goes in the air again.
I heard Mike tell me that you shouldn't have dust in your house or something.
In an ideal world.
Yeah.
Yeah, like dust is the symptom.
Wow.
Yeah, like, you know, like, and that's what we're highlighting, in fact. Like, dust in your house is indicating that nothing is picking it up. Nothing's filtering it for you, you know?
So could you create a test environment for fun over at the office in Austin where you had, 6 filters in a room very small and get like the most pristine, completely non-dust?
You definitely could.
Yeah.
I mean,
or is there an overkill point? Like,
I think, like, you know, there'd be a point, and like what I don't want to have someone do is get like hypochondriac about dust.
Yeah.
You know, as in, like, if you look into the natural world, there's dust.
Yeah.
It's a product of life.
Yeah.
People are really focused on mold. You know, so mold illness, it's a very big thing right now.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it's been a thing for a long time.
We just didn't know.
We just didn't know about it, right? We're kind of, we're again, that's another thing of making the invisible visible. You know, we could see mold growing somewhere, right? But we didn't know, like, the mycotoxins and the effect they were having on our body. You know, and then the airborne mold particulates, you can't see them. You know, so these things. So we're starting to be able to see that stuff now. And what I'm getting at here is, like, it's not so much that we want to remove all dust, because then we'd essentially be living in a vacuum.
Right.
What Mike means by that is that, especially indoors and especially in the environments we live in, the dust that's in there and the dust that's created, like, I actually believe there's a beneficial dust. And it's what I mentioned about, like, you know, being in, like, say, an old forest out in nature, somewhere that's clean. We're interfacing with the environment.
Yeah.
When we're in a downtown environment, when we're in a city, when we're in an urban area, a lot of the dust that's in the air is the stuff that's not good for us. Right. It's the things that make your lungs burn, like what you mentioned. After that, right? We don't want to see that in our house. We don't want to see that dust accumulating on anything. That's what we're trying to get to.
I read a book about the negative ions versus positive ions. Is that also a factor in the pollution of an urban area?
Yeah.
And maybe describe what each of those are.
I don't know enough about that to comment. For me, the positive.
Now we know we have a smart guy.
That's it.
Because the people that spout on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, generally, the negative ions are generated by natural areas like windy mountaintops and oceans and large bodies of water.
Definitely.
Even your showers is creating this energetic particles in the air that are good for you. And then the positive ions, even though the term positive connotes something that's good, it's terrible, and you get high readings in polluted air or confined indoor space. And
this is new for me. Like, I'm very much about, like, you know, in breathing, like the inhale, the exhale, the positive, the negative, the charge that creates, like, you know, like electrically in the body.
Okay.
Like, you know, this kind of piezoelectric charge that happens. Just as far as your question is concerned, like, I don't know the answer as far as how that pertains to, like, say, pollution. So I just don't want to. I don't want to go down that path to comment on it, because that
pollution is energetically depleted air. So
that intuitively makes sense for me. So actually, I'm learning a little bit here too, right? And that's interesting to think about. As far as how Jasper is concerned in it, I mean, you know, it's essentially catching pollutants. And what I'm just imagining right now is, you know, if those pollutants are that positive charge, you know, like, they're capturing them in the filter so that maybe they don't interface with your body, messing up whatever, you know, electrical balance is created from, you know, maybe creating or contacting negative ions from, again, the sea, the mountain. You know, that's at least what I'm intuiting right now. It's not, that's a good question.
So
it's an area for exploration.
The filter, here's a dumb question coming up off the heels of that. Like, how is it actually catching the pollution? Are these molecules bigger than clean air or something? Like,
exactly.
Turn on the filter, and what happens?
It's actually clean air, you know, like, I mean, a lot of people say we're breathing oxygen, you know, like, air is so much more than oxygen. It's actually like 70+% nitrogen.
Okay.
You know, we live in this band where we need, you know, about like anywhere from like 18 to 20% oxygen is ideal. In the air concentration. There's some carbon dioxide. There's a bunch of other crap, right? So that's air. That's like an unseen clear gaseous molecule, super tiny, you know? Then you have the particulate that's in it. So what the filter's doing is it's removing all that particulate.
And particulate's larger.
That's it. Exactly, right? So we're talking, like, you know, this thing here measures, usually particulates measured in micron. microns a size unit. We're talking like 0.3 microns. This thing measures up to 10 microns, and there's even bigger molecules, So it's catching like a HEPA air filter is catching like 99.99% of these microns down to 0.1 micron.
The advertisements are correct.
They're very correct.
A lot of that.
And one of the things I like doing is bringing this tester into homes.
Yeah.
Again, showing what the air is as far as particulate count, and then showing someone like by holding it over the air purifier.
Yeah.
What it is, and most of the time everything is zero coming out of the filter.
Right.
And that's showing again all that particulate that's in the air.
Yeah.
Is getting caught, trapped, held in this filter.
Yeah.
So it's not going throughout your house, not going into your lungs, not going into your furniture, So that essentially that's how it works. A fan circulates and it pulls all the air into this medium, which is a pre-filter, a HEPA filter, and a carbon filter built into one. And then it comes through the fan and the air coming out the top is clean.
You were doing some demonstration with, was it like tap water or something?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was giving a pollution reading on the on the display.
Yeah. So like, so
that's pretty gnarly.
So there's all kinds of things in tap water, right?
Yeah.
So basically what we do is
even the stuff that, here in a big city, they're blasting it with chlorine to call it very safe, but it's still a chemical.
It's still, yeah. Chlorine is not good for us.
Right.
It's great at killing bacteria.
Yeah.
It's like you definitely don't have a chlorine, like a recommended daily amount of chlorine required, there's a great argument. It's like terrible for our microbiome, like for the health of our mouth, like our gut, all that stuff, right? So, but it's very good at killing bacteria. And we don't want salmonella in the water. We don't want E. coli in the water.
Yeah.
So it's a critical piece of like our water infrastructure to keep people safe. Because there's people dying in the world from dirty water. But it's in the water, and there's other things in the water. There's a big talk about like old city water pipes containing lead. So anyways, when we do that test, what it's doing is one, it's showing people how our sensor works.
Yeah.
It's also revealing a little bit about the things that are in the water.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely things in there. That's not so much the important part for this thing, but basically what we're doing at the show is we're using a diffuser, like a water diffuser, and it's basically aerosolizing
steam
water
coming up.
Yeah, like if you think of like your essential oil diffuser or anything like that, or a humidifier, it's basically just like vaporizing the water. Our unit is picking it up, and it's picking up the concentrated particulate in it. And when it's that close, like basically we have the unit right beside the Jasper, and those aerosolized particles are going right into the sensor at their highest concentration. So our Jasper unit, like, goes to the red line, and you see how the smart mode works, and then we'll pull it away, and it'll kind of clean out the sensor. Will pick up like there's no more particulate in there, and it'll move the fan speed back down to low again, right?
Yeah.
And we've got all kinds of reviews on our website, from people having this unit, and it's really an air education device, because it has the smart meter on it, like showing like how much airborne particulate, particularly PM 2.5, which we'll talk about in a moment, how much air particulate is in your indoor air. So like many people, they start cooking, and they forget to turn the range hood on.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing. A lot of people have range hoods.
Don't have one.
Well, a lot of people don't have one.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't have one.
Yeah.
A lot of people have one, but it vents into the house.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just literally got like a little.
Yeah.
Like
it should vent outside.
It should vent outside.
One.
It should be properly sized.
Yeah.
It should work, and it should vent outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most people are missing one of those things.
Yeah.
Like,
we discovered that ours vented inside.
Yes.
And the way I discovered it was I removed this section of the above the oven hood in the cabinetry.
Yep.
They sealed it off
to
hide the fact that it wasn't. It appears like it would be the way the pipe goes outside.
Exactly.
And they said, oh, let's just cover this so no one looks.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know, is that doing anything if the fans...
It's essentially doing nothing. I mean, other than at most, if you were to be cooking something like quite greasy on a frying pan, it would capture some of the grease in like there's usually like a little mesh sort of filter before it goes in the pan and shoots out.
I've washed that out before.
Exactly. So what you washed out is basically all it does. It catches some grease, and that's all it's doing, right? I mean, it's just essentially blowing it in the ceiling, and it's staying in your house. So the difference between that and not having it at all is maybe saving a little bit of grease from dispersing on your counters.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's doing essentially nothing. And then if it's not there at all, I mean, it's not really any different than having a vent in your house. And then if it's venting outside, that's ideal but most people's are not strong enough to really even work. Like if you can smell the food, like, you know, say if this is our house here, you know, our kitchen was there and, you know, someone was cooking food and you walked in the door and you can smell the food, your range hood is not sized properly.
Right. Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be able to smell anything. Yeah. Like as far as that, it should only be getting exhausted outside.
So even when you're cooking healthy, nutritious food, you're still creating these volatile organic compounds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Proteins when they're getting, you know, like
this is grass-fed steak. Wait,
exactly. It still has those polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. You know,
when the process of cooking is what's releasing.
Usually heat. And you know, I mean, depending on someone's level of consciousness and how they cook, you know, so most people I find cook at too high of a temperature. You know, so like like the higher the temperature, the more of these compounds get produced. The interaction of fats with proteins particularly too can cause it, you know, even fats and carbohydrates. Exactly. So they're going into the air. Now, I mean, they're not the worst things in the world. Like there's way worse things, but that's a typical hazard most people are constantly doing every single day that with a properly functioning range hood could be preventing it. And then if you don't have that, you definitely need an air filter.
Crank it up
like
right
that's
next
it
to you.
So and that's the thing, so that's what one of the things we love about the Jasper, and that's what people are frequently saying to us the most. You know, when someone gets one, we always say put it in your bedroom, because that's the place you spend your most time there. Most people, right? And if you're getting two, definitely one in your kitchen and the other one in the bedroom. But the one in the kitchen is the one that constantly blows people's minds, right? Because that's where you're engaging and you're cooking, and they'll have it on smart mode and the thing will go crazy. You know, it'll get amped up. It'll
smart mode, meaning it works just what it needs to. Because we tried that at night. And you know, it goes nice, and it's always quiet, even at the highest power.
That's it.
But the smart mode is doing what it needs to be.
Exactly. So smart mode, basically what it does is it just modulates itself based on the airborne air particulate, right? So generally speaking, especially in a house like with the windows and doors closed, one of the things we love about air purifiers, it's big. You know, people ask, are we making a smaller one? And we say no, because if we make a smaller one,
thanks for the question.
It's not going to move as much air, you know, and it won't be as quiet. So even that Jasper running on its lowest fan speed, which is 1, which is generally when someone has it on smart mode, it's going to be on fan speed 1. You know, because it does a great job at moving the air.
So the physical size of the fan is one reason. And then I noticed the filter is quite large.
Exactly. 4.5 pound filter. It's got a lot of surface area. It's circular too.
A foot or more tall.
So it's a robust filter. So this stuff matters, and we'll go back to that. But as far as the smart mode, you know, it runs on fan speed 1. And what we love about it is it's got the reading on it too. You know, it's how much air particulate's in there. And then when someone's cooking, when someone say opens a door and there's a lot of like pollen in the air or dust, or say there's construction going on in the neighborhood, whatever, your dog comes in, just rolled in the dust at the park, shakes off. You know, it'll pick up and
cranks up again.
Crank up. I see it go to like, you know, like fan speed 2, 3, or 4, and it'll keep running there until the sensor picks up, the air's clean again.
That'd be funny to program it. Like if someone annoying starts talking too long, you use your smartphone and crank it up really high. Like, okay, that's a lot of hot air coming out of your mouth.
That's it. It can. I guess it could be a real good bullshit filter.
Right. And you pretend it's automatic. Like
that's super funny.
Underneath the desk. Oh, there goes the fan again.
No, so
I guess you're full of shit.
You know, so that really highlights something too. So this we call it like kind of it's a smart filter, but it's actually dumb compared to like modern standards. We don't have EMF coming from it because there's no Wi-Fi, there's no Bluetooth connectivity, right?
And that's intentional to minimize your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Thank you. That's nice to know somebody's out there.
That's it. Particularly when it's in your bedroom, you know.
Dumbing it down.
We tell people to have it in their bedroom. It's got a smart sensor in it, but it's integrated into the system. It shows it on a reading on the screen. You know, and that's it. So it's smart in the sense of it can intuitively run based on the conditions in your house, and it can tell you what the air conditions are. But it doesn't connect to your phone. You know, it emits basically no EMF. And it's quiet. And it goes dark.
That's nice. Is my favorite thing, because I should show you some pictures of these filters that have these stupid LCD emissions all over.
Constant.
And I have electrical tape and cardboard. I need to get to the buttons. But I can't have any light.
It's horrible.
And they crank out pretty strong blue light as well.
Very strong.
And when we say blue light, we're talking about it literally like the color blue of the buttons. And so I have all this crappy cardboard draped around the emissions of light.
Exactly.
Like no one cares.
Exactly.
So when I saw that light button, I'm like, what's this? I'm like, oh, It's still going,
It's
and
still
it's
going.
dark.
And it's dark.
Oh yeah,
It's
huge
critical.
props. Yeah,
You know, it's unbelievable that people aren't thinking about that, right?
Yeah.
But that's one of the pieces why, like, the more of these things that a filter has, like, you know, like the annoyances, the blue lights, the noise, you know, the fact that it's ugly,
Yeah.
it all leads to people shutting them off, people not using them.
Yeah.
I've gone to so many places of
yeah,
people that
yeah,
have
getting
people that have
tired of
bought
it. Yeah.
people have bought air purifiers. You know, you mentioned you bought from like Amazon or something like that. How many people I've delivered Jaspers to where I go into their house and they're unplugged, they're off, they're not on,
Yeah.
you know, like
Dirty and
that's
dusty.
it. You ask them
Yeah.
about it, like, oh, the thing's too noisy, or it's
Yeah.
like, you know, like I just forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went from smart mode to manual high fan because it's a beautiful white noise for the whole night.
Absolutely.
And that's, you know.
So that's one of the
really
things we find. I think that's what really contributes to, you know, we ran an aura sleep study, basically. I mean, so what we did was we basically got a bunch of people from our customer list. We reached out, you know, we inquired about who had aura rings, and we asked people, and this was actually people who didn't have Jaspers yet. They were like kind of on our mailing list looking to purchase. We gave them all free Jaspers, you know, and we had them basically send us their sleep data from the aura ring the week before they got their Jasper.
Oh.
They sent us their information for the week they had their Jasper.
Yeah.
And then they shut it off for the third week. And we had this like kind of ABA sort of test.
Right.
And their sleep metrics were improved by like 20% across the board.
Wow.
You know, and we think it's from like not only breathing cleaner air, but also like a lot of people like the white noise. We're staying at a hotel downtown LA.
Yeah.
And it's so noisy.
Yeah.
But we brought our Jaspers with us. So you got them in the hotel room.
So how did you do that? You have
we brought them in
a golf bag or something?
I always brought it in a box.
Yeah.
Like the box is like quite a robust box.
Yeah.
We're thinking about maybe making travel bags for people or something, but it's kind of a thing that...
I mean, the golf bag would be perfect.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a nice neoprene golf bag.
Yeah. This filter. Yeah.
So we just check it in the plane as check luggage. You know, we bring it with us, but we set it up and we put on fan speed 4.
Yeah.
And it drowns out all the noise.
Yeah.
And it cleans the air. And it really helps with the sleep. You sleep better, you breathe better.
So you became a big fan of clean air, as well as breathing, due to some misfortune that you had in your career. So let's kind of get into that whole story, because that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, you know, I worked as a firefighter for 10 years, and actually in Canada, so 3 hours west of Toronto.
In an urban or
rural area, kind of an industrial setting, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, truthfully, like my job, actually, I was fortunate, whereas like there wasn't a lot of on-the-job exposure just based on the environment I worked in. I was well aware of these hazards. I actually ended up getting sick from moving into a home that was filled with mold. So I like was friends with Mike. You know, Mike's the founder of Jasper, and I already knew about mold. I knew about some things around air in some ways, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't into like doing breath work as a practice. This is something that came later. I had a good amount of knowledge on health and wellness, and somehow I still miss this as a thing. We moved into a house, and the crawl space was filled with mold. It was missed on home.
Visible, like
it was missed on home inspections. It wasn't like visible in the house.
Oh.
You know, I didn't know about some of these things.
Was the crawl space visible when you got in there and see?
It wasn't apparent. So
dark colors.
So actually, what happened was it was a dark, damp crawl space with a dirt floor.
Yeah.
So it was an open air dirt floor. So like, you know, it wasn't apparent. Like there was black mold growing on the walls, and we're like, oh, duh, we just didn't look. Like we were down there.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize was this: there was a high concentration of mold from the soil. There was a furnace down in the crawl space, so a source of heat. And we slept on the second story of this home. So what happens in a home is this thing called the chimney effect. Most of the air in a 2-story house from that comes from the crawl space via the chimney effect. Hot air rises, and it creates this pull. So it actually pulls most of the air that arrives in the upstairs from the crawl space. So we were sleeping in this environment that was getting all this moldy air pulled up in it, and had no idea.
You're not talking about through a duct, but you're talking about just in general from underneath your house.
Yeah.
It's somehow getting its way to the second floor.
That's it. So like, you know, you have duct work running through it, circulating, but also like heat. Like typically think of any 2-story house. Even though you have a central ducting system, it's usually cooler on the first floor if the heat's running than it is on the upstairs, because heat accumulates. And the furnace isn't always running. Like if you listen to anyone's central ducting system, it only runs when the furnace is heating, and then it typically shuts off. So it's not circulating all the time. So then naturally that convection pattern of heat rising takes over, and it keeps pulling air up. So this is something I learned. So I ended up sleeping in this bedroom, you know, I ended up getting sick 3 months after we moved in this house with this autoimmune condition. Now, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things about my career and like, you know, other things too, as far as like stressors I had in my life and all that, right? But it really got me tuned to indoor air quality and how much of an effect it has. I was doing a lot of things right and somehow missed that mark, and there's a lot of people that are in that situation too, right? And one of the things I learned, and thankfully I was friends with Mike at the time, he sent me 5 Jaspers for the place. And basically I kind of ran my own study with this. It didn't like make me better immediately. Like I got really sick. My wife, she had some like sensitivities occur. My first daughter was 10 months old at the time. She had some nasal congestion, but thankfully they didn't get like as ill as I did. Like I got taken out.
Did you have any sense that it was related to the move-in since it was 5 months later? I mean,
it was one of the things that was on our radar, and Mike actually helped me do that indoor air testing. Yeah, it was one of the things, right? So we actually did some indoor air testing. So I had him send me an air tester. We did that kind of what I talked about earlier. A bunch of samples in the house that captured them into these little containers that we then sent to a lab, and it confirmed, yes, there's mold, and there's a lot of it. There's Stachyboris, there's like, Aspergillus, like all this stuff in there. And Aspergillus is the one like black mold. Yeah. So that's the thing that's just known to make people sick. So it's one of those things. So like, that got me really on this whole thing of like, wow, like indoor air quality, how it affects you, how it can really like ruin your health potentially. And then went down this whole path too. Ironically, one of the things I learned to actually begin to heal my body was breathing practices. Oh. So, I don't know.
Besides, did you get away from the mold when you found out? And
yeah, we moved out. Like we like moved into there's 2 structures on the property. My wife would hate to recount the story, but we basically moved my wife and my daughter out to this like loft that we had in like basically a yoga studio on the property.
Yeah, everybody started sleeping in there.
That's it, right? So we all started sleeping in there, so we had to basically like, get rid of furniture, have the whole crawl space like basically encapsulated, which means they come in and separate the outside walls of the foundation and the dirt floor from the inside. Cleaned everything, sprayed it down with this disinfectant, which like actually breaks down mold. Yeah. Purified everything in the house with the air purifiers, and got the air flowing. Yeah. Truthfully, we never ended up moving back into the house.
I could see like, the freak out factor, even if you're carrying your fancy device going, you guys are welcome to move back in now.
That's it.
That can mess with your head so bad.
It can. So that's one of the things I found breathing exercises helped with, right? So not only was there a physiological effect on my body, right? There was psychological trauma of like fear of an environment and fear of other environments. And you see this a lot in like the mold healing space. People get so scared the second they smell mold because like it triggers them, triggers their nervous system. Yeah. They remember everything that happened to them, right? And there's like this psychoneural cascade of things that affect the physiology that like I feel air purifiers can really help someone with when they're in that state. Right. Like knowing that there's this thing that's running constantly, defending your air for you so your lungs don't have to do it, right?
I can relate. I see like it's a great calming feeling to have push the button and have the sound go.
That's it.
It registers in my brain that I'm trying to take care of my health.
That's it. And that's why I love taking this thing because it's one thing. We really want to like make the invisible visible for people. Yeah. So, for some people, there'll be a bar of, they just trust that it works. Yeah. That's enough. Yeah. One of the things I love about doing this is because like it does work and we can show people how it's working. And that's powerful. And that for me is very important, right? Because like I had a lot of trust issues around things too, right? Yeah. So this was important for me to see, well, this is actually removing things from the air. Yeah. And it's running constantly. And it's like my system was like, okay.
I can relax now.
That sound now has like some sort of effect on me, like knowing it's protecting my air. And
it's going to turn down your stress hormones.
That's it. Yeah. And that's important.
Programming.
And what does that mean? The body can begin to heal and restore. We can actually go back into a parasympathetic state now. Yeah. And that's important.
Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief.
Absolutely.
His work. Yeah. Absolutely. So he says like our cells have perception switches on them and they take signals in from the outside environment. And some of them are a dirty air, right? And some of it is a thought that you send, like, am I going to be hosed moving back into this house that we cleaned up?
Absolutely.
And so if you send that it creates a defense response in the cell. He talks about it, which means a stress response.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's just as bad as if the thing read 200 instead of 0 because you're worried about it.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty heavy because we go through life and we don't want to be cavalier about, all right, I'll have a cigar with you too because I don't care. Yeah. And therefore the cigar is not going to affect me. Yeah. he might argue that. He might say, oh, that's next level. Like maybe it is true that cigar is going to affect you less if you're in a celebratory mood. You just won the NBA finals. It's going in your lungs. But your body's going to be like, all right, process this and then get it out tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay. But
I genuinely believe that stuff. And that's where the breath work came in for me, right? Like that ties in some of Bruce Lipton's work, Jim Spend talking about rewiring ourselves. So it was ironic that like, one of the things that got me sick was my breath, breathing in dirty air. And the thing that allowed me to heal was connecting with my breathing, the effect it had on my consciousness and my ability to then, basically reprogram the stress signals. Like it was like, hey, I'm safe now. So things are in place now.
You tested, you realized you had a problem. You moved to the studio. But then you had some time that was required to recover both psychologically and physically. So now you're breathing clean air. How did you heal all the way?
It was kind of wide ranging things. Like I threw a lot of stuff at it. I mean, I already had a broad background and like knowledge on things. So thankfully for that. So I started going into it. So one of the things I started doing when my body was very sore, like from this autoimmune condition, my joints essentially started swelling up. Like I had what
that was your condition,
either a rheumatoid arthritis or a psoriatic arthritis like condition, right?
Out of nowhere,
literally nowhere.
Oh my god.
So like when it first came on, I spent about 3 weeks on a couch, just like multiple joints swelling up, excruciating pain, neuropathy, like all this stuff. Like burning electric sensations from my whole body. Like it was insane.
Did you go straight to medical help? And
not really, like in a sense, because it was like I had some intuition that like it wasn't gonna help. Like it was almost like weird. Like I didn't know what was going on, but like I knew that wasn't the vector I had to get at. So we like got out of the house. Truthfully, I started doing a lot of saunas, cold plunging. That helped with some of the inflammation. I already knew about dietary procedures. Like I knew about like things like Dave Asprey's bulletproof diet, this stuff, right? So I already knew how to like employ these things. Started going to see my naturopath about getting like IV therapies, things that help my body detox. It still took a year.
Oh,
a year. Like with like chronic flares, like it would go through these cycles of like a joint flaring up or multiple joints, and then like having a 2 to 3 week process of that coming, going, and then rehabbing a joint. So we moved out of the house. We remediated. We didn't move back into the house. We moved into another property. There was a lot of stress and moving around. So employing all these things as far as like, well, I mean, I met with a psychologist every week to deal with the fallout, of like how my body was essentially falling apart. So there's like kind of a holistic approach to it. Naturopathy, osteopathy, chiropractic care, massage.
Is this in Canada?
This is in Canada.
Was that all covered, or
It was not all covered
for these kind of things?
Thankfully, like I was employed by a fire department that had a great like secondary benefit plan.
Were you able to work, or did you?
No, I was off. I was off on medical leave. It was not good. It was really challenging.
Even though it wasn't connected to your job. Because sometimes people have problems with that here too.
No, this is a difference in Canada. And it wasn't really. We had great, like also a really good employer. So there's differences there, but typically they're very well covered for that stuff, right?
Nice.
So I was able to take time, employ like these health benefits, heal. Some of it was out of pocket. I mean, I probably did end up spending close to like, with the remediation efforts, some of the stuff that wasn't covered, a lot of the other stuff, like I bought like a red light therapy device, I bought a cold plunge, the sauna, these things like to use it at home, it was probably like a $60,000 to $70,000 sunk cost of like medical devices and other care, right? But like kind of that all hands on deck approach, I feel like really helped. I'm not sure that's a common approach that people have access to, when they experience something like that. But what I loved was breath work seemed to be the thing that was like the foundation of it. Really breathing fully and deeply, using breath as a tool to help my nervous system come back into states of regulation, to use it as a tool to alter my consciousness in a way that would allow me to like reprogram the fear I had of environment and my body.
That's cool, because you mentioned a bunch of expensive stuff. And then it comes to breath work, you're ranking very highly.
And that's the thing, right? And that's kind of what was, I think that was one of the things like with hindsight now, like that happened in 2020, so we're 5 years removed from that, right? This summer. My body's doing much better. I still notice I'm very sensitive to things. And so it's not like 100%. I'm not sure, really there's ever a getting back to 100%. Like we're always changing and evolving. But I feel much better than I did before. I'm much more aware of things, but I'm also, with that awareness comes a sensitivity. What I find is ironic is those foundational things are really what works. Great breathing, clean air, you know, getting the body hot and cold,
Yeah.
you know, drinking the clean water,
Yeah.
eating the pure food, moving my body.
Imagine that.
Like those are the things of like
Yeah.
the foundation.
Yeah.
That like there's some big piece that was really off with that, you know, dirty, moldy air. And truthfully, at that time, I had no awareness of breathing, proper breathing mechanics.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it then. And I spent my whole life in athletics. So it was a huge learning for me to like really address that part of my wellness routine.
I like how Patrick McCune in Oxygen Advantage talks about how athletes are often worse off because we breathe so aggressively.
Yes.
So we're over breathers, which the premise of his book, you're going to talk about it more than I, but like, it was amazing to me to think like, yeah, I can circulate, my VO2 max is off the chart, right? And I can pull in this many liters of oxygen per minute. And then how does that carry over into everyday life? It's actually a strike against you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So tell me about how you got into the breathing.
Well, I love that. Scene. So one thing I want to ask you too, I'm fascinated by this, you know, like I spend a lot of time in gyms. Like I spent like a lot of my teens were spent in gyms.
Yeah.
You know, and I just had I love being here in this
environment. Good place to hang out.
Beach.
Yeah.
Like I was very enamored by like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all this stuff, you know, like, so this is like a mecca of this. One of the things I just find amazing is when I'm in the gym now, how many people are walking around like this?
Right.
Just like breathing through their mouth. Yeah. And I wonder, like you running, like, you know, like when people get to that point of fatigue, it just naturally happens. They go a little unconscious and they start breathing through their mouth.
Sure.
Like over breathing.
Yeah. I mean, it's associated with sympathetic response.
Exactly.
Right? So you're going to be shallow panting breaths in the example of the traffic jam comes and you guys are going to miss your flight. Oh shit, look at the map. Should we take another thing? You're typically going.
Exactly.
And then parasympathetic, as most of us know, is associated with a deep diaphragmatic breathing and bringing the calming.
Slowly breathing, a tolerance for higher levels of carbon dioxide in the body, like all these things, right?
Yeah.
So, as far as like employing that, those are all things I had to learn.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my life was spent like doing heavy weightlifting,
slam those weights,
as a firefighter.
Man. Yeah.
You know, very sympathetic driven like lines of work and you know
and recreation.
That's it, right? Like I found like myself gravitating towards adrenaline things, skydiving, snowboarding, you know, like I needed those things to like help me kind of feel alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And realize what that meant as far as the state of my nervous system and how breathing can really affect that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the thing. And I got really intrigued by that because it was like, not only was it totally missing from my awareness, it really, really made a difference in my ability to heal, to self-regulate, to engage my parasympathetic nervous system, and to do that in a time where my body was compromised, in the presence of clean air. That was a missing piece.
Okay.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
So that's something we're really like, you know, to circle back to what you mentioned. I love the story again of you running marathons here in this dirty air and like having literally burning
sucking air. Yeah.
Right. This is something we feel that we really want to make an area of focus, right? As this is becoming more and more of, it seems like it's getting talked about more. I don't know, like you've got much more experience than me. How much, I guess, language was there around how to properly breathe in your experience, you know, in athletics?
Yeah, I mean, you know, close to zero.
Yeah.
I remember reading this crazy book called Body Minded Sport like 25 years ago, John Douillard, and he talked about nasal diaphragmatic breathing during your workout to lower the stress impact of the workout.
Absolutely.
So I was exposed a long time ago, and I remember going out and trying to breathe through my nose and keep my mouth closed, which today has blown up to be a fantastic way to regulate your intensity level to stay in zone 2.
Absolutely.
Not to mention zone 1. But you know, it's kind of like
you don't need a heart rate monitor
there by mistake.
Yeah. You don't need a heart rate monitor. You just allow your body to give the feedback.
But it's been so widely disrespected, and especially the, you know, like the takeaway I mentioned where you're sucking air doing all these things. And when you go and play pickup basketball or pickleball or run a race or whatever, it's a sympathetic engagement. You know, I'm not trying to keep my nervous system calm when I'm on the starting line about to run the 400 meters. I want to kick butt. And in fact, Karsten Warholm, the great hurdler from Norway, he's seen before the Olympics slapping his body as hard as he can, slapping his chest. And people are thinking like, wow, that guy's just a showboat, but he's actually doing a dopamine triggering response.
Absolutely.
By the, you know, I guess that comes into play in other areas too, like the bedroom, whatever,
Absolutely.
you know. Okay, let's get riled up here.
Absolutely.
So that's sport and that's peak performance. And then there's the rest of our life, including recovering the moment we stop playing.
Yeah.
And so how did you get exposed to this idea that like, hey, your lungs and your breathing pattern can help you not only as an athlete recover, but get healed from?
Yeah. Wim Hof is a big name. So Wim Hof is very known, like, for breath work and cold immersion. He was one of the people that like I first came across as far as when I began to hear about breathing, conscious breathing. And then I just, it was like the door opened. In a sense, I had some very powerful experiences with Wim Hof breathing where I was like, oh my God, breathing this way, laying on the floor in a state of dis-ease, like my body was wrecked.
Yeah.
I remember having so much pain in my body, like one of the only things I could do was lay on the floor and breathe. So I know what it feels like to have that sense of the runner's high. I used to do long distance running in grade school. So I remember like going out for a run and the body feels a little achy and stiff and, you shake off kind of, you get a little bit of a cramp and then eventually you hit a stride.
Yeah.
And everything kind of goes away and you're just in a flow.
Yeah.
I've had that in the gym, lifting weights. I've had that like on the job, firefighting, going through like some hard evolutions of stuff. Like you get to these points through hard physical exercise where you reach that. When my body was in so much pain and I couldn't do any of these things, I remember laying down on the floor for a Wim Hof breathing experience. And I had that feeling like of like kind of this sense of relief in my body. And I was like, oh my God, my breath can do this. And then like the door opened, I started meeting different people, right? I started meeting a guy that had a brand. His name was Giovanni Bartolomeo, Elemental Rhythm Breathwork. I started learning more about integrating meditation into the breathing experiences, altering my consciousness with breathing and very targeted meditations. I learned another method through a guy named Elijah Nissenboim, effigy breathwork, a more intense practice actually clearing trauma through very vigorous sympathetic breathing.
Yeah.
Like, and like studying from these Patrick McEwen, I've heard him on many podcasts, books, learning about more of the science behind it, the physiology behind it.
He was around the corner from us at the Health Optimization Summit.
It's incredible, right? Cool. So it's cool to see all these people coming into these rooms, right? So it's remarkable. And a lot of it was just like, self-practice. Just a lot of experimenting with the methods on my body and feeling it. And one of the things, like I have a deep hope that like, I don't see the quality of the air being talked about very much in these spaces. Right. And that's why like, I'm actually like grateful for you sharing your story about the breathing. Cause this is something we really want to start bringing awareness to.
Yeah.
That like, as this rising awareness of the importance of breathing continues, people learning about the effects in athletics, people learning about the effects of how it can, basically shift our consciousness, our nervous system state. How's the quality of the air that we're breathing also affecting that?
Yeah.
How can we improve that?
Yeah.
How could a product like Jasper, really provide a cleaner indoor air environment for people that are engaging in these breathing activities?
Yeah.
Until we get the outdoor environment to the point where we don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Which, I mean, generally we're going to do pretty well, especially on the yoga class Saturday morning at the beach, or
Absolutely.
They're trying to find, healthy outdoor environments. My sister used to do yoga in San Francisco every weekend in this beautiful grassy park at the top of the hill. That's the best air you're going to get in San Francisco.
That's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's going to be pretty darn good compared to in some apartment with a crappy filter.
I was in San Rafael a few months ago on actually a breathwork retreat, and I went for a walk in Muir Woods with my wife, and I just had like an imagination of doing that. Like that would be just an optimal environment.
Yeah.
Amongst these old growth forests, these trees, there's very removed from the city pollution.
Yeah.
That would be ideal, right? This is not what most people are working with. The majority of the population of the earth is in urban environments.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
oh my gosh, I get this stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
Have you seen these where it has the counties of the United States?
Yeah.
And one's blue and one's yellow.
Yes.
And it says more people live in these blue spots
than the rest of the
all
country.
Yellow combined. Basically, you're looking at a yellow United States of America map.
That's it.
With this blue coloring around the edges, like
most of the country is empty.
Yeah.
I lived in a van for a year in 2018 and actually got to see like how empty this country really is.
Right.
There's
the
a lot of
miles
space
between cities.
It's immense.
Yeah.
There's so much space in between.
Yeah.
Everyone's crammed into these urban environments. Like, with all of the cars running, all the tires burning particulate, factories running. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
And no filtration.
Right.
This is like, I think, the biggest missing piece from people's health.
That's great. And then packaging it with some intentional practice, which I love. Maybe we'll just, before we wrap up, a little basic overview. People have heard of Wim Hof and his amazing parlor tricks like Scott Carney wrote about in his book, What Doesn't Kill Us, where you do that controlled hyperventilation. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
And he was able to, this is a novice journalist who specializes in debunking fake gurus and blowing the lid off. He's still doing great work on YouTube to kind of look at what scams were getting pitched at in the health scene. But he went to debunk this crazy guy from Holland at his winter retreat in Poland. And then a week later, he's climbing up to the top of a mountain in a snowstorm, wearing running shorts and shoes, and that's it. And saying that my skin was hot the whole time, because he got his body into that magical state through the intentional breathing. And that's the kind of stuff that you may are referencing with your healing trauma and having these breakthrough experiences. So it's kind of like you're tripping out too, like you're making, what are you making, the chemical, if you do it
you do this whole neurochemical cascade that takes effect, right? I mean, essentially in like one of the things I'm really intrigued by, psychedelics are having a very big sort of cultural revolution in a sense again, right? We went through a 70s psychedelics thing. They're reemerging.
Well, that means I'm missing it twice because I was around in the 70s. I remember some older people around that were going to town.
Well, so this is one of the
7-year-old wasn't doing it, and now I'm on the sidelines again.
So Wim Hof, and what he says is get high on your own supply. So this is what he's talking about. He's talking about the neurochemical cascade gets released in response to very intense breathing practices.
Right.
Ancient yogis knew this. So we can breathe in such a way. Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot too. Engaging in breathing exercises help the pineal gland release endogenous DMT. DMT, that's a spirit molecule. So,
which is also available in drug form.
Absolutely. There's certain things. Ayahuasca is a DMT drug, 5-MeO DMT. There's all these derivatives.
But you literally can produce this in your bloodstream.
Absolutely.
Through
breathing exercises.
Aggressive breathing.
So it takes a while. It's not something you're going to do like here in like 2 minutes. I couldn't do it now in 2 minutes, right? Like what would happen, particularly for someone in a 30 to 60 minute experience, there's a high likelihood if they engage in a depth of breathing, that could happen. And that's an experience that just shows people how powerful your breath is. Like the effect it can have on our consciousness and our connection to, something greater, and the fact that we're breathing dirty, contaminated air. Like to me, that's something that's like kind of more on the esoteric level, interfering with our connection to whether you call it God, spirit, universe, whatever. I mean, what are you asking as far? You want me to do a breathing?
So we have
or point.
I just want to get that into the right category. And you're talking about hormonal cascade and all that, and then there's like the Patrick McCune side, which I'm familiar with, which as we go through daily life, we want to avoid this habitual overbreathing.
Yes.
And so
that's it. So I love that. Okay. So the distinction would be there. Yeah. So there's these periods of time, you mentioned running. There's times where we have this beneficial stress. We can engage in these high levels of sympathetic activation and be very intentional about it, and they have a benefit. You do not want to be there at the rest of the day. And the things that Patrick talks about, which I love, are about how to increase your carbon dioxide tolerance, to help your body basically exchange oxygen better, so your cells run more efficiently. To breathe properly, breathe through your nose, to use this thing that's made for breathing, keep this thing shut.
I know, mind blowing, like that I've made it this long without really being aware that the mouth is for talking and eating. And I think he's referencing like all other animals, right? Like your dog at home is not breathing through their mouth until they need it. And so I think that's an important thing to set up here too. It's like when I'm doing my sprint workouts, I'm warming up, trying to breathe through my nose only and stay cool. And then when it's time to sprint, you suck in as much air as you possibly can so that you can perform. And then you try to down regulate again and have that be your pattern through life.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's magic.
I mean, there's a takeaway from his book. It says, strive to breathe through your nose only as minimally as possible at all times for the rest of your life. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know that before. No one told me that.
No one.
But that's what we want as our baseline mode of existence.
Totally.
Until we go into the room and you're leading us through the Wim Hof thing and you're doing controlled hyperventilation for a chemical response.
That's it.
But I like to put both those out there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely totally different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the third thing.
Yeah.
Breathe clean freaking air with the Jasper filter, Jaspr.
That's it. So that's something we really want to get out. Like again, I brought it up before. How many studios I've been in, yoga studios, gyms, fitness areas, where people are engaging in indoor environments. With deep exercise where the respiration rates increase, they're breathing deeply. It's like, let's clean that air up.
So a unit that we described the size of about a golf bag, does that have somewhat of a square foot coverage that you can?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. So generally what we say is 1,200 square feet with 8-foot ceilings. So, room is measured in volume, which is cubic feet. So it's 9,600 cubic feet. So someone could kind of do their own self-assessment of a house, right?
Yeah.
So that's what one unit can cover optimally.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's not going to have an impact. You know, again, if someone financially can't afford, you know, enough units to cover their full square footage, having one in your bedroom, sleeping in there, you're going to have the cleanest air in your bedroom. And it's going to have an effect on the rest of your house. Like, you know, and then from there, we genuinely believe once people experience the benefit, the increase in the amount of sleep they get, the ease at which they begin to breathe, you know, seasonal allergies tend to go away. We find a lot of people, like, you know, that maybe have issues with snoring, like that may, you know, feel like they need a CPAP machine or something like that. We find that they're not filtering their air. It's not even talked about in the process. Like, we've had many people, many wives particularly, that ordered a Jasper that then send a review saying, my husband stopped snoring.
Wow.
And I'm sleeping better.
Yeah.
Because he's not snoring.
Yeah.
He's sleeping better. Yeah. Because he's not snoring.
All right.
And life is much better. Like, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, those are like the stories we're getting from people, right? So it's like, you know, like, get one in the bedroom. Yes, it covers 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
You know, so if you have a bigger house, you might need more than one for optimal coverage.
I mean, bedroom, kitchen, if you have a 2,400 square foot living area, especially that kitchen,
absolutely
increased need. I like
absolutely.
That.
But yeah, I mean, especially if you have someone in your house, whether it's a person that's, you know, sensitive already to things like they know they have a respiratory issue.
Yeah.
Or if you have like a child, you know, that wakes up with like, you know, chronically runny noses or like, you know, bags under the eyes, things like that.
I had some of that with my daughter and we ripped the carpets out one day. Maybe she was 3 years old. So those first 3 years was nonstop ear infections and, you know, discharge from the nose. Oh no, here she goes again with another sign. And then it was pretty much gone. And, you know, some of that's growing out of these things, but just like you with your intuition, of course, there was other things at play here. A healthy guy.
I had no idea about it. My parents had no idea about this. I had same ear infections. I had to get those station tubes put in. I had my tonsils removed when I was 5. You know, and like no one ever talked about what was the quality of the indoor air. My parents used to smoke in the house. You know, this is like, you know, a small rural area. You know, we lived like in a farming area, so a lot of dust was always kicked up in the air and in the house.
So Jasper is friendly for smokers too. If you're gonna freaking
smoke in the house, filter it out.
Put a tank in there.
If you enjoy a nice cigar, if you have a cigar burner or something like that, you know, put it in. If you like burning incense inside, it's like enjoy the smell, but let the combustion byproducts by the filter.
Right, because there are some combustion byproducts.
Totally.
What about like essential oils? Is that also the case?
Essential oils, depending on, it's not as much. It's like, I mean, you'll notice this if you have a Jasper and an essential oil diffuser. The smart mode's gonna like kick up. It's picking up on the particulate.
Love that.
Now again, that comes back to this thing. Not all particulate is harmful. Right. You know, and depending on the purity of your essential oils, like, there might even be some benefit.
Right.
You know, like there's definitely therapeutic.
There better be if they're
therapeutic
$14 for.
That's right. You know, so that's one thing we don't want to turn people into is to think like all particulate's bad particulate. But most of it in our modern indoor air is not good. So,
Wes Greenwood, kicking butt, man. Dude. What a great show. Thanks for listening, watching, people.
Thank you.
Learn more at jaspr.
.co.
.co.
jaspr.com.
I'm loving mine, and I'm glad we got more education on this. Thanks for listening, watching.
Thanks, Brad.
That's a wrap.